Welcome to the UGC EPG Pathshala lecture series in computer science. In this series of lectures, we have been looking at the subject software engineering. For this particular session, we will be looking at the different types of testing. Last few sessions, we have been looking at the fundamentals of software testing, where I have described about the basic principles or practices that we may have to adopt while going for testing, and the strategies that need to be adopted. And now that we will look more closer into how testing are to be carried out. So, we continue with the same objectives, learning objectives. Still we have not done with the testing, so we continue with the same learning objectives. So, it is time for us to understand on the different stages of testing. So, starting from every module, every piece of code or a module, or otherwise it will be called as unit testing. Then we will try putting few modules together, which can be called an integration testing, and if it tested with the functionality, we call it as function testing. If it is towards the performance or how much it can bear, it can be called stress testing. Finally, how much it is being accepted by the user, whether the user wholly accepts on the entire product that is being developed, so it is called acceptance testing, and before installation it will be tested again, which will be called installation testing. So, there will be different levels of testing which will be involved, or stages of testing that will be involved: unit, integration, system, functions, user acceptance, performance, usability. Then part of unit testing will be white box and black box, part of integration testing will be white box and black box, and finally it will be tested for the complete of installation. Now, we will look at each and every testing in detail. To start with, we will do it on module testing or unit testing. So, after having looked at every person's code or every module that a person has derived, we may have to check with the algorithm component of what he has looked at and the logic behind what he has been working with. So, basically we will be testing on the data structures both locally and globally, and we will check for the interfaces, we will check for all the independent parts that he has been carrying out. We will check for the boundary conditions, we will check for the error handling mechanism, we will do formal verification, we will do testing the program itself both in white box and black box perspective. Say for example, if you look at the unit test for a controller and it checks for only the mock service, whereas the unit test for a service will check for mock unit of a work, mock selector, mock domain, and the same will be carried out for a domain by itself. So, everything is or every module, controller as a module, service as a module, domain as a module will undergo a phase of unit testing. Likewise, before having tested, we can estimate on the number of test cases also. As I have already told you, test cases are an important component where the actual and the expected test cases are exactly to be plotted. So, how to derive on the actual number of test cases that can be done? We call it as boundary value analysis, robust and worst case testing. For a boundary value, we test for given a boundary, be given a specified range, say for example, to find a number given a limit. So, the limit specified will be the boundary and we can select from the boundary also. And for robust testing, we go it for the next stage, where what happens in case if it skips the boundary. Say if the given range is 0, 100, what in case if the values goes beyond, or one value more than 100 and one value less than 0, then in that particular case it is called robust testing. And any value that has been given as input, not within the specified range, also it could be on any value, even it could be characters, and so then it is called worst case testing. We may have to look at all these components when we are designing a test cases, but then as part of unit testing it becomes purely logical, where what has been developed with, we test it purely depending on that. So, as part of unit testing, we not only check on the algorithm and logic, we also check for the data structures, we also check for the independent parts, we also check the boundary conditions and error handling. So, unit testing goes by that way, or module testing goes by that way, whereas to perform an integration testing, what is necessary? So, to explain more about integration testing, first of all we may have to understand what does an integration mean. Combining more than one module becomes an integration. Say I have tested on one specific unit or a module, it works fine. There has been another module that has also been unit tested, it is also working fine, but there are likely chances that when these two modules put together for a common scenario or for getting onto a domain, they may not work completely. So, one module can have an adverse effect on another module. So, integration testing in that particular case is necessary. So, there are sub functions that are involved within a module which can be combined, and this may not produce the desired major function. Individually acceptable imprecision in calculations may be magnified to unacceptable levels. Interfacing errors. So, whenever we wanted to interface one module with the other module, there are likely possibility that these errors may not be detected in unit testing and may also appear during integration testing. So, timing problems in real time systems are not detectable by unit testing. So, one module has been developed at one particular place, and there is another module which is developed by another person with different time effects, but then when integrated there can be a timing problem that can happen in real time systems, and there is a likely chances of resource contention which are not detectable purely by unit testing. So, when we go higher than a unit testing, not only in terms of combining modules, but also in terms of timing contention, there could be problems with respect to unit test. So, for those cases we may have to perform an integration testing. This integration might be done at two acceptance levels or two permissible levels. One is called top down approach, the other one is called bottom up approach. First we look into what this top down approach mean. Top down integration approach, where the main control module, which is 1, is used as a driver, and the stubs 2, 3 or 2.1, 2.2, 3.1, 3.2 are substituted for all modules which are directly subordinate to the main module. So, 2 and 3 are direct subordinates to 1, whereas stub 1 and stub 2 are direct subordinates to 2, or it can be a subordinate to 1. Likewise, depending on the integration approach selected, maybe it could be depth first approach or breadth first approach, these subordinate stubs are replaced by modules at one at a time. So, there can be replacement of one at a time, whether by looking at whether it is breadth first or depth first. So, several tests are run on each individual module after having integrated. So, on the successful completion of set of tests, another stub is replaced with a real module. We may have to also perform a regression testing to ensure that the errors have not happened as a result of integrating new modules. By now, we are trying to replace every stub which after integration performs poorly. So, if we have replaced, then that particular module also need to be initially unit tested, and further for replacement it actually has to be tested whether this suits the requirements as part of integration testing, which is called a regression test. And there could be few problems that could happen as part of top down integration. Some of the advantages, first we will look into advantages. Some of the advantages of this top down integration are no test stubs are needed, errors will majorly happen in critical modules, but then if they are found early, very early stages, whereas test drivers are needed, that is the topmost root node which drives all the stubs. Test drives are mandatory, interface errors are discovered very late. So, that is the primary disadvantage of getting into top down integration level. On the other case, as a second type of integration testing, we can perform bottom up integration also, where the integration begins at the lowermost levels, which are combined into clusters or built that can perform a specific software subfunction. So, if you can recall from the triangle that I have shown you in the previous session, there were low level classes. Now that I start from the low level classes to build the entire application, whereas top down integration, I need an application for which I will do the subsystem test and low level class test, whereas in the bottom up integration I will go with the low level classes. Drivers here are nothing but control programs which are developed as stubs, are returned to coordinate test case input and test case output. Every cluster that are being presented here should be tested. Drivers are removed and clusters are combined, moving upward in the program structure. So, those were the two different testing that can happen as part of integration. That is, whenever we wanted to combine more than one module or more than one unit, we call that to be as integration testing. Within integration testing, we had two different types of integration testing. One is bottom up, the other one was top down. And as a third case, we will be doing a validation testing. If you can recall, validation is nothing but doing a product right. So, we may have to determine if the software meets all the requirements, not only as specified in the requirement specification, but also the user's expectation. So, having written requirements is very essential as part of validation testing. Regression testing is also being performed as part of validation testing to determine if the software still meets all the requirements in light of changes. So, if there are small modifications, small changes that we make towards the software or the code, then a regression testing is being done, and which again is being validated with the requirement as specified by the user. So, this regression testing involves selectively repeating existing validation test, and it is not for developing new tests. Further, we can take this testing to alpha beta level. Initially, whenever a product is being developed, you might have seen n number of products which is given for beta testing, where the user might give their inputs on the different domains that they have worked with if the product is under beta testing level. So, with this alpha and beta testing, this testing is being done to provide customers with an outline of things that you would like them to focus on and specific test scenarios for them to execute. So, you can better have a feedback of how the customer feels on a specific application. You can provide them with a beta testing. So, we can provide a beta version of the entire product, we can give it for users experience, the user will project a feedback which then will be validated, so that we can make appropriate light modifications or changes to the objective. But then the objective will certainly not change, but there are few feedbacks as provided by the user which were taken into this level. So, it will be placed purely on the alpha and beta testing level. This alpha and beta testing provides with the customer who are actively involved with a commitment to fix defects that they discover. After having performed unit test, integration test and alpha beta testing, which is supposed to be the system test, finally, the testing is given for the user to experience whether this product is being done right or not. So, right product has been developed is primarily tested by acceptance level, where the user acceptance will be rated whether it is with an answer of yes or no. This user acceptance testing is similar to validation testing, excepting that the customers are present or directly involved. So, the customers will be directly involved as part of acceptance testing, and this is usually the tests that are developed by the customer themselves. So, till the level of validation alpha beta testing, it will be done by the developer or a third party, whereas after it has gone to the acceptance testing, it is purely done by the customer, who will expect themselves to be present directly to evaluate on the product. So, their result need not be technical, need not be formal, but then they will project out with the result saying, are the specification of the entire software met, with an answer of yes or no. Within this testing, we have different methods. We call one of the testing method as white box testing or glass box testing or transparent testing. We have another testing method which is called black box testing, and as we have seen earlier, we have top down and bottom up for performing incremental integration, and we have one more testing method which is called ALAC, abbreviated as ALAC, which is act like a customer. You may be a third party, or you may be a person belonging to that particular team, but you may not be knowing what is to be developed. You will be interfacing with the system as like you are a user. So, ALAC is also being a testing method. Apart from that, you have ample set of testing types, which are functional test, algorithmic test, positive test, negative test, usability test, boundary test, startup and shutdown test, platform test, load and stress test. We will look at all of them in detail, but then what happens in case if we do concurrent development, how would this validation testing model work? So, whenever we conduct an experiment, we do validation informally while development is still going on. So, every line of code we write, we do execute that code and we test with sample inputs. So, we do an informal validation so as to see whether the product is working fine or whether the piece of code is working fine or not, and this gives an opportunity for validation test to be developed and debugged early in the software development process, and this provides early feedback to all the software engineers whether they are moving in the right path. And not only that, this results in formal validation being less eventful. After having performed an informal validation while the software engineer by themselves doing a test case, this takes us an less eventful scenario of a formal validation, since most of the problems have already been found and fixed. So, a software engineer by himself, he has gone through this concurrent validation, thereby ensuring that there has been no error or most of the errors that were found are fixed. So, at the stage of formal validation, this can be easily taken out. Once having done an informal testing, we may have to take it to the readiness review. The entire program or a piece of code is taken for review, but then after having fixed or found the different errors or bugs in the program, now it is ready for it to be executed. So, validation readiness review is to be done, and during informal validation, developers can make any changes. As a part of informal validation, any number of changes can be accommodated, but whereas in terms of formal validation, the changes after having integrated or after having done an integration becomes pretty difficult. So, during informal validation, developers can make any changes needed in order to comply with the standards that we have specified in the requirements document. So, during informal validation, several test runs happen on quality assurance, and it gives us a room for making changes as much as necessary in order to test and to comply with the requirement specification document. Whereas, when we are performing a formal validation, the only changes that can be made are bug fixes, and these bug fixes will be in response to the bugs reported during the formal validation testing. So, meaning that any number of times we do an informal validation, whether doing an unit test or a module wise piece of code, and we do an integration, we do a validation test again. Any number of changes that we have made, we can directly adopt it with the piece of code, but when we are doing formal validation, this can happen only for the bugs those have been fixed in the beginning. So, no new features can be added at this time. If at all we are trying to add new features at the time of formal validation, then this might cost very high. During formal validation, the same set of tests run during informal validation is run again. No new tests are added. So, formal testing scenario plays a vital role because this does not allow any new features to be added. So, there has been a limited criteria, entrance criteria with which this formal validation test will follow. Software development is complete, that is, once we say the entire development of software is completed, that is, a precise definition of completed is required. That means we have met with all the features as specified in the requirement specification document. So, the test plan has been reviewed, approved and is under document control. A requirement inspection has been performed on the software requirement specification. Design inspections have been performed in the software design documents or descriptions. Code specification have been performed on all critical modules. So, we do inspections on each and every line of code with a formal review, formal validation, so as to ensure all the features have been met and there are no further changes permitted. All test scripts are completed and software validation test procedure document has been reviewed, approved and placed under document control, meaning that whatever that has been documented as part of requirement specification document or software design description document, everything has been met and now this document is purely under the control which says no further activity is to be inserted. So, selected test scripts have been reviewed, approved and placed under document control. All test scripts have been executed at least once. So, we may have to ensure at each and every level, both at the informal and formal level, that we are running all the test scripts at least once in the entire life cycle. Change management tools are in place and all the source code is under configuration control. Software problem reporting procedures are also in place. Validation testing completion criteria have been developed, reviewed and approved. So, once we are doing a formal validation, we ensure that we have appropriate changes that has been adopted, reporting procedures are taken in place, validation testing criterion like it has been developed, it is reviewed and approved, everything are in place has been ensured. So, these are the very beginning of the entrance criterion towards getting into a formal validation testing. So, after having done all the change management and other procedures, now it is for us to understand the formal validation, or it is to go through a procedure of formal validation where we cannot insert any new features or it cannot give a room for it to accommodate any new features. So, the same tests that were run during informal validation are executed again and again and the results now produced are clearly recorded. So, we prepare a report which is called a software problem report that is submitted for each test that fails. So, this software problem report will be given back to the respective project heads for them to give a detailed description of why this failed. So, this SPR, which is software problem report tracking, is performed and includes the status of all the SPRs like open, fixed, verified, deferred and not as a bug. For each bug fixed, the SPR, that is software problem report, identifies the module that were changed to fix the bug. There will be a baseline change assessment, that is from the scratch, which is used to ensure only modules that should have changes or that should have changed or no features have slipped in. We also try to perform informal code reviews, which selectively been conducted on changed modules to ensure that new bugs are not being introduced. So, this should have been carried out before it enters into the formal validation. So, an informal code review is being conducted for every of the changed module, and any bugs that has been noticed during that particular period are not to be repeated during the formal validation. So, the time required to find and fix bugs is tracked. Regression testing is performed using the following guidelines. As it was earlier mentioned, during the informal validation also there will be a phase of regression testing, and formal validation also looks after all the testing stages that we have gone across in informal stages. Here also regression testing is all again performed using the same guidelines, where we understand the complexity measures for it to determine which module may need additional testing. So, any module that requires additional testing, we may have to understand the complexity measure, use judgment to decide which tests are to be rerun. There need to be based decision on knowledge of software design, and you may have to look at the past history through which these level of testing have undergone with. In short, as a summary to this particular session, as you might know, this session was, in these particular sessions we have been describing about software testing. So, the primary objective with which we start this software testing is to execute a program with the intent of finding an error. And in this particular session we have been looking at the different testing types, starting from unit test, integration test. Within integration test we have seen top down integration and bottom up integration. We have looked at validation test, within which we perform regression testing also, which is supposed to be called system test, and finally giving it to an user, the user may have to again test, which is called an acceptance test. This acceptance test will produce an answer of yes or no for all the products that we have developed. And we have also looked into the formal and informal practices of doing this test with an entrance criteria of what as an informal test it has carried out. Before we proceed with the formal testing, we have given different criteria to enter into the formal validation testing. Thank you.